Shine, I'ma shine. I'm not one for wasting time. I'ma make that shit that gon' go have you wait and stand in line. Shine, you gon' shine. Don't you go and waste your time. I know you feeling down, but I know what you got deep inside. Shine, I'ma shine. Shine, I'ma shine. Shine, you gon' shine. Shine, I'ma shine. I'm not one for wasting time. Shine, I'ma shine. I'm not one for.
What up? My name's Dr. T,
Timo.
and this is Painter Gain. Thanks for joining us.
What episode is this, actually? Producers? 11. Yeah,
11.
Nice.
That's my jam.
There you go, man.
Big
way to show up.
The best number. You get to be number one, not once, but twice.
Hey. It's a good one.
Thanks for joining us today. We got some things cooked up. We got a lot of football stuff. Football's back.
Yeah.
Football bike. Thank you. We got some fantasy football stuff. We got some injury coverage to go over. Some stuff to look over. Maybe we'll look at some of the. I remember going over the teams last week and kind of giving flags. We can kind of see.
We could definitely see how that panned out. See what happened. So far, only in week one is definitely
with the team. See what happened.
So hopefully you didn't draft your team without watching Painter Gain, because that would have sucked.
Trying to give you little things, little outside the box, unbiased opinions here.
True.
So if you have any questions about any, even not fantasy football related, just any sports related stuff, hit us with
or
it.
gain.
We'll pull out the clips, and then we'll see what we can do with it. But if not, we'll do the best we can. But how's your weekend been?
Oh man, it was actually a cool weekend. I didn't have to work at the nightclub. I was actually able to go enjoy a nice day in San Francisco. I went to go see one of my favorite artists. I've been watching him since he was started at EDC at a very small stage, formerly known as Carnage. He now goes by Gordo.
I've actually seen a Carnage show.
Really?
Yeah, he was at San Jose State with the bingo players.
Is that the one with Young Thug?
5 or 6 years ago?
With the one with Young Thug?
I think so.
Yeah, then I was there too.
Holy
nice,
crap.
Sick.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Thought?
Yeah, awesome.
Half a tray of Jello shots. It was a wild night.
Yeah, that was definitely a really good set too.
Because that was like the first time the bingo
players
came
and
back.
Cashmere, I think, too. Was Cashmere. It was really cool. I like Cashmere's because he actually had an actual musical piece that also had a story behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had short cuts of I don't know. I think from my recollection, it was more of a ninja kind of story, like a samurai story in the background, and then every time it would kind of go to another cut scene or something like that. So that was pretty cool. I remember that.
Oh yeah, Timo, you took Haku there too? Haku said he was there.
Haku? Yeah. Haku did go with me. Yeah, sick. So we were all together.
We didn't even know it. I don't remember half of that show, but hey, we were there.
Yeah. So shout out Haku one time. So we ended up going to San Francisco. It was really cool because he did it in this venue.
Nice.
But it wasn't a venue where it's like one that you heard in San Francisco. It's actually
not like the Warfield or something.
No, not even. Yeah, exactly. No Bill Graham or something like that. It's actually an old federal building where they used to print money and make coins.
Wait a minute. I think I know.
It's called the Mint now.
Yeah. So I've heard of it.
Yeah, so literally there's one little quad area. It's just a box. Literally just a box. And he sold about maybe 450 tickets to this. So it was really cool because you walk in and it's a really big building and everything's hella old. I guess it was made in 1864 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you walk out into the quad area. I set up the DJ booth. Just stuck in a little courtyard. Everybody partying. It was really cool. A lot of good people there. He played an amazing set. A lot of cool remixes from.
That's sick.
Yeah, he did a lot of the stuff from the Drake album. He helped produce.
Oh, nice.
A lot of cool remixes to that.
I didn't know he did that Drake album.
Yeah, he has a couple songs.
Sticky,
Massive.
One, right?
Yeah, Sticky, Massive. Oh, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, so it ends up a couple other ones too, but. He definitely impressed me a lot just from seeing where he's gone in his career. So that was kind of most of my weekend, and of course football.
That's fun. Maybe we'll have to. I need to get back up on my knowledge, knowing that
he's Gordo
Carnage
now.
helped out do that Drake album. Maybe they'll go over that on the book club. Club's playing Thursdays.
Thursdays now. Yep.
Thursdays. What time we at? 9 o'clock on Thursdays. Be there, be square. Maybe we'll go over that. Send in your request for that too as we go.
Mm-hmm. That'd be interesting.
Sick. That's dope. It sounds like a fun weekend.
Yeah.
I came in.
Just kind of.
Not particularly. No. We had a big old a giant spider debacle. We had a big spider thing, so we were taking care of around the house, spraying some things around the apartment, but. There was a spider where it was pretty big. I was kind of annoyed that I was like getting yelled at to come take care of something because my better half was getting out of the shower and I just heard her screaming and I was like, oh God, got to take care of something. And so it was a big spider to where like between the crevice of the door where you open it, you can see between the door hinge and the wall. Like I could see its legs and I was like, I'm gonna go get a vacuum cleaner as opposed to like my shoe because if this thing gets out of control, it's gonna be a bad time for me in my life. But yeah, I think it was like a huntsman spider actually, but it was that thing was big. Yeah, it's like kind of fuzzy legs. Like it was big enough to where I shut in, cause like the handheld vacuums, they're like that big. Yeah. They're like pretty, like not small size. Yeah. I sucked it up with the vacuum and the legs were on the outside while the body was getting sucked in. Dude, it was wild. And I like had to sit there and I was just had it on. I was like, well, time to tap you against the wall and hope you get back in. And then it got sucked in and stuff. We took care of it.
Yeah, have you heard of those stories where some people try to like a big enough spider, they try to like either burn it on fire or something like that.
And it just starts fucking running around? Exactly. Yeah, nah, ain't doing that. Stories. No, I went straight vacuum cleaner.
that was interesting.
Nah, move. Man. I would have done that I used to have one of those like salt shotgun things. I would have smoked it. I would have smoked it.
I feel you, man. Yeah,
but anyways, we put it outside. I sucked up some like instant spider kill spray things that I've been spraying around the house with, and I like sprayed it on the ground, made a puddle, and sucked it in with the vacuum anyways, then tried to kill it. That thing was wild.
That was a good. Oh,
move. It was wild. My better half did not allow me to leave that vacuum cleaner on the inside of the house though, so we left it outside just in case it like crawled out through it because it was still alive. I tried to suffocate it. It was still alive.
He was like, "Oh, wait."
So I was like, "Okay," and I would see it, and it's running around on the inside. I was like, "Oh my God!" And so I sprayed like the whole inside of the mouth with the like automatic spider killer thing, and then just like left it outside. And I was like, "Well, if you get out, either you're not in my property or you're gonna die." So whatever.
Good luck to you, man.
Yeah. So that was our weekend. It was fun. That
was very exciting.
It was not fun. It was terrifying. I was
very excited.
I sprayed around the house. Every time I go into the bathroom, I like look around the door.
You're like,
I'm gonna go to the bathroom now.
Did it have babies? That's the other thing you have to think about. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I've seen like the daddy longlegs, like the cellar spiders. They actually have egg sacs that they just have in their thing. So if you have one, check it every once in a while to make sure there's not like an egg sac in there. Because when they hatch, there's like 50 to 75, I think.
Holy fuck.
It might be more than that. I could be undershooting this, but 50 to 75. I remember seeing one when I was a kid, and I was like, hey, yo, like, there's a bunch of eggs there. And then my dad was like, no, that's just a fly that it's caught and it's going to eat. And I was like, okay. And then I never forget coming home from Applebee's. Coming home from Applebee's one day and like going up to my door, like our garage door, and just seeing a bunch of little tiny spiders crawling across the web. And I was like, Dad, I told you. I'm like 13 or something. I'm like, I told you this is what's going to happen because there's eggs. You're like, all right. So he took care of it. But still, like, check your cellar spiders, your daddy long legs in the corners. Check them things. Jeez, and then hit them with the hairspray and lighter combo. One time, spray. Light that thing up. But no, those are terrifying.
Yeah, nah, I'm cool off that. Spiders, fuck that. That's cool. So how was your fantasy weekend, huh?
Fantasy weekend. I'm in too many leagues. I'm in about 4, which is too much. So now they're all a little different though. So okay, I'm okay cool with it. Yahoo. I have 2 Yahoos. One's a 12. One's a 14. The 14 used to be a 16. It's from like a bunch of my old my colleagues now, I guess, my old classmates.
Oh, gotcha.
And so that was always a weird, interesting league of like super thin, like just don't get last, basically.
Yeah.
Yahoo's just a regular half-point PPR, and then we have our league that's a 10-man.
Yep.
And then I have a 12-man that's a super flex. So it's 2 quarterbacks. So like I took Kirk Cousins in the 3rd round. Was kind of mad about it, but like.
You did okay.
You got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Either right.
But yeah, so I got a bunch of leagues. I won every single week. Yeah. Or every single league this week, so that's kind of fun.
Painter game, left side.
Yeah. Rolling in, and so just keep it rolling. I just recently won fantasy baseball.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So we won that.
There you go.
Made it for Painter game. Got my money worth off of that because I'm a
Sick.
fantasy degenerate. Back-to-back champs now in that.
There you go.
Because that definitely matters to all of our viewers.
Yep. I should ask you about baseball props.
I could at least give you an educated guess. You guys might actually know more about that. You guys pay attention to baseball more?
Yeah, James is definitely be knocking those ones out too.
Yeah, you guys might pay attention more. But I'll gladly give my input, whether it's good or not. That's you decide. But how about you? How was your how's your fantasy week?
I'm in 2 leagues. I did A-OK. Unfortunately, in my first league, I took a chance on a player that you mentioned maybe not to go for. But I got, worked up in the middle of the draft, and I just went for him anyways. Najee Harris got a little tweaked up ankle.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But I still managed to win because I had Patrick Mahomes. So,
hey, Patrick Mahomes' revenge tour is real, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. He's so terrifying.
I don't even know how
Absolutely
to stop
terrifying.
him. He was just chilling. He looked like he was just kicking back, hitting some golf balls, but just throwing touchdowns. He might have a little tougher time this weekend. Or this week on Thursday, but we'll see how that goes.
We'll see. I think we can. Let's just jump into that. Actually, let's jump into that. Let's go through the teams. I gave, I think only 2 yellow flags for the teams, and then most of them I gave green flags, and we'll see how that goes. I do want to shout out my team name in my other league. It's Sutton on my nuts hurts, and that's one of my favorite team names I've ever come up with because I have Cortland Sutton and Jalen Hurts. Have to shout that out.
And
one of my favorite things to do. If you don't have a really punny team name for any fantasy sports, what are you doing with your life? Figure that out.
Do better.
Okay, please do better. So we'll go. Let's just go by from the top.
Yeah.
So I did give.
Danny.
My orangest of flags I gave to Danny, I will say, and he had not a great week. He did go against me, the Juggernaut, but
sorry, Danny. That was a tough one. We already knew you were going to lose by Thursday. So
yeah, I got 3 receivers averaging 30 points apiece, so good luck. But yeah, Joe Burrow turning up nothing was kind of weird, but he has Burrow, King Henry. I think that's just we kind of knew that Henry's going to be. The bad thing about Derrick Henry is he doesn't catch anything, so he got 80 yards. He got 82 yards. That's not bad at all. That's a solid running back game. Mm-hmm. He's really touchdown dependent, but when he does, he explodes.
Yeah,
he gets
for sure.
He gets 2 or 3, and he'll get the easy goal line touches.
8's is cool though. 8 is you're at least hoping to get.
If you told me Derrick Henry scored a touchdown every single game from here on out, I'd be like, yeah, that's not 15 touchdowns for Derrick Henry sounds pretty okay.
Yeah.
That sounds
he got
fine.
12 last year.
Damian Harris got 15 touchdowns last year. I could easily see, Derrick Henry getting, whatever. I'm not worried about Derrick Henry. I think he's going to be all right. I think he's fine. He had a bad week, didn't get a touchdown. I'm just worried about the Titans in general, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Rashad Penny, he didn't go down
injury?
or anything
No?
with he.
No, he's all right.
No injury, but again, didn't perform super well. Seahawks, I think the Seahawks are smoke and mirrors. I still don't know whether they're that good or not. We talked about this earlier. Keenan Allen, hamstring injury.
Ooh, so that's
he does kind of
one.
have an injury history. I think we were talking about this before. He does have a little bit of injury history. The hamstring one's dicey. And they have a Thursday night game, so they're playing in 2 days. There's no realistic reason for him to play. My boy DeAndre Carter, shout out Fremont native, Sac State, my boy. He's probably going to get that third receiver nod and jump in on it.
Damn.
Yeah, he got a touchdown.
Sick.
Yeah, so he's the one that got a touchdown. They messed up his
interesting.
picture. He's not a white dude. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, the Keenan Allen injury, that's not good. He's probably going to be game time decision every game for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, I was about to say, for
minimum.
how long does a hamstring usually take? I mean, for a professional athlete from your experience.
So from depends on how bad it is. From the film, he pulled up lame, but he was still upright.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he was upright isn't that big of a deal, but the fact that he could stay upright and he didn't have to go down to the ground, it didn't cramp up and it didn't seize up and it didn't make him. It wasn't mid-run. It was off of a break and he didn't damage it further going into it. That's kind of big to say, okay, it's still a grade 1. It's a minor strain, but still that's 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, because I'm fucking hamstrings, dude. Fuck that.
Yeah, so it's 2 to 4 weeks still. He's going to be game time decision for probably at least 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll see how that goes.
Would it also matter where he hurt? it on the back of the hamstring? Like, say, does it matter like if it's on the bottom, the top, the middle, or is there always only one place where you can hurt your hamstring? Or
usually strains are just in the muscle belly. You have 4 different hamstring heads, in which I'll go over that when we talk about the Chris Godwin injury. But you actually have 4 different hamstring muscles.
Got it. Yeah,
2 on the inside, 2 on the outside.
Got it.
We got a picture for it. We'll pull it up and everything. But it does matter a little bit. The higher up it is, the more trouble it is for you. So the higher up, the closer to what's called your ischial tuberosity. It's your butt bone that you sit on. So if you sit down, like you get bleacher butt, it's because that bone is just touching more. So we'll go over that later on, like where it is and how it is.
Okay, cool.
I do want to talk about the Godwin thing, and we even got some whiteboard. We're going to draw it out for you a little bit, and why it happened. Darren Waller, 12 points, respectable. That was not a super I wasn't super worried about him just in general. But yeah, it was just a tough week.
Did you have any injuries? No.
My team, I did not. I just had Trey Lance who hurt his pride. Other than that, my team was kind of a green light. I think it was the lesser of the green lights because of Leonard Fournette, but he turned up 130 yards or whatever he got. He did well. Josh Jacobs was also a minor yellow flag. He stayed healthy the whole game. Everything else was pretty good for me. 50's team, I think, was also green.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues with there. No injuries there from what I can see. No, he's good. And then Ryan, Lamar Jackson, Saquon pick of the year. God. Michael Carter. I told you I like Michael Carter a lot, too. Jalen Waddle, DK Metcalf, Dallas Goedert, Jerry Jeudy with that Buffalo defense.
Cool.
Yeah, everyone's chilling on him. He's got Pat Mahomes with 35 points on his bench. You son of a gun.
It's crazy.
In the kitchen, 2 cooks, sneaks away. James sneaks away with his. I think he was a green too.
Yep. I don't remember. Yeah.
He has no injuries, no issues.
Yep. There's another green light.
Zach's was, I feel, a little bit more yellow, but that's just because the McCaffrey was. Yeah. I mean, he's on your team. You got a yellow flag no matter what.
He made it through week 1, so that's a plus.
16 points ain't bad. It is what it is.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
The Miles Sanders was a little bit of a yellow flag, but he played well.
Yeah, it was.
He's got to get Kittle back.
That was the only one.
Alex's
the Kittle
team
thing was again, if you remember.
I think he was just he just wasn't ready yet. He had an injury from a while ago, and he was just trying to recover. I think it was game time. I want to say it's an ankle. I could be wrong.
I can't remember.
I have it right here.
50, you're in the chat. What was it?
Yeah, what is his thing? He's groin injury suffered in practice last week.
Okay, got it.
Practice groin injury. You never like groin injury. It's basically a hamstring injury, to be honest. But he was close to play, and he practiced and he went out during pregame, I believe. I could be wrong. Quote me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I'm wrong. But I think he went out and he was like, okay, and it just wasn't ready enough. Yeah. I think the rain. I think if it wasn't pouring down rain, I think he would have played.
That makes sense.
I don't know this for a fact. I don't know anything about it, but the rain for sure. If I got any soft tissue injury, especially a hamstring or groin or quad or something like that, I don't want to mess with the rain. You slip, you're done for a while.
Cool.
So that's good. Who else? Alex. I don't think he had any big injuries. No. Good week for him. His punter got 14 points.
Your backup quarterback got hurt.
Oh yeah, Dak. So Dak's. They never really said what happened to him. They just said he had surgery.
A fracture around the joint.
Around the thumb. So like the basal joint. So the fact he had surgery on it tells me, 1, there's a pin, or 2 is what's called an avulsion fracture. Uh-huh. So an avulsion fracture, we can actually draw this out. So an avulsion fracture is anytime you take a ligament that connects to another bone, and what happens in that ligament is it rips a piece of the bone off. So I'm going to make like a very crude ankle drawing here. So this is your foot. You got all your toes. Whatever. Foot. So what happens with an avulsion fracture? Okay. Can we see this?
Yeah, keep turning. Go down.
That's good.
Go right there. Cool.
So here are your toes. right here. Let's write that. Toes, heel, leg. So we have your leg up here. So what happens is these are ligaments connecting one to another. What happens is one of these ligaments right here, all right, if it breaks off, it takes a chunk of the bone with it.
Got it.
So like if I sprain my ankle, I would have an avulsion fracture right here. Does that make sense? So an avulsion fracture is when you take something. Jimmy G had this last year, actually. That was Jimmy G's big thumb injury.
Got it.
So if you have an avulsion fracture,
let me look it up while you're drawing.
It pulls a piece of the actual bone that's attached to it. And so it's like, I don't know, if you have like a rubber band and a piece of paper and you pull it and it takes some of the like the ring off of the binder piece of paper from it, that's kind of what an avulsion fracture is. So if that's what it is, what they would do is they would take a screw and they would literally screw it back into place, let it heal around it, have the bone screw and stuff. But that was what was suspected Jimmy G to have the whole time. I don't know if they ever confirmed what it was and stuff.
Surgery revealed that Prescott suffered an extra articular fracture.
Extra articular fracture. Okay, so that's different. What an extra articular fracture, that just means outside of the articulating surfaces. An articulating surface is like basically the joints that rub, the parts of your bone that rub together in your joints. Okay. So, like for your shoulders, you have so your humerus and your shoulder blade, basically. Mm-hmm. That would be your articulating surface. So I have a shoulder here. So this is like your shoulder. So this is your shoulder right here. That's your arm bone, your upper arm bone. I can't draw backwards. And this is like your shoulder blade area. So on the inside where they connect, where they touch, that's going to be the articulating surfaces.
Got it.
Does that make sense? So any bone in a joint that's kind of touching each other, that's what would be considered an articulating surface. So like...
so it's better that it was that type of fracture rather than the other one, because that other one would have been worse?
So you have surgery anyways, and anytime you have the surgery, you just got to let it go, which is why sometimes it's actually better to have surgery.
Got it.
So that's why this is better that happened now, because what would happen is, one, they'd have the surgery, he can be back in 4 to 8 weeks. If this happened at week 6, what they might try to do is not do the surgery, and he'd just play here for the rest of the year, and then get it done afterwards. Ooh. That's what happens with the surgeries where they're like, you find out like week, 18, or like after they lose like the playoff game, then you go, actually he's been playing with, a torn whatever, or a this or that, or a broken whatever. Those are the ones that you happen where like, if you could choose to have surgery and you can choose not to. If you have surgery, it's going to, there's a guaranteed amount of time you cannot play, but you're usually going to get back quicker in the long run.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So like if you break a collarbone, perfect example would be my older brother. I broke my collarbone. It was a clean break, right in half, and they were like, no, we don't need surgery. We don't have to go in there. It's going to heal on its own. Mine was 8 to 12 weeks. And so I missed the whole season. So with Tyler, my older brother, he shattered his. Worse than mine. Definitely by far worse than mine. He was back in 8 weeks.
Because he had surgery?
Had surgery. So they put it all back in place. You screw it in. The bones heal around it, guaranteed amount of time, and they're already stronger because you have a metal surface in there. Got it. So it depends, but that's what it is. It's an articulating surface. Is you're basically the part of your bones that are considered your joints.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So that's what Dak has,
buddy. I hope we tank. Actually.
Yeah, you better go for whoever else.
Is there any good quarterbacks that you know of in college?
In the draft? Well, there's Bryce Young, who's had...
is that the guy from
Alabama?
Oh.
Guy from Alabama. He's had a pretty good year. I think he was was he a Heisman winner last year or runner-up?
Heisman, yeah. Oh, he won it? Oh.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be pretty good.
Fuck it.
But yeah, Do you have any question in the chat? Well, before I'm going through the rest of it.
Not necessarily no question, but do you remember when Romo tried to play with the broken spine?
With a broken spine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. But like that's the thing
is
is if he breaks it in week 1, they have surgery and fix it and you're out. Like you're chilling, but you're out for guaranteed, 6 to 8 weeks. Most surgeries, if they have to repair anything, pin anything, is at least 6 to 8 weeks.
That makes sense.
So that's kind of a little bit deal. So that's the differences between surgeries. Also, is like having a repair or an ectomy, or if they're taking something out or shaving something or having arthroscopic like debridement or something like that. If you're having a full repair, it's going to be guaranteed a little bit longer for it.
Got it.
But
cool. So yeah, Dak, and then who else should we leave off on?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go through the teams. Alex played Lil Sherb.
Lil Sherb, shout out left
Cam
side.
Akers was again the one where I was like, stay away from. That was my one. That was my one bugaboo. I didn't want him in any league. I didn't want to touch him. He came back too quick from that Achilles, in my opinion. In most doctors' professional opinion, it's not like.
Hopefully, she watched Painter Gain. Sheesh.
Man, she gotta
take
it into account a little bit more. It's enticing to take that running back up there. It's ranked so highly. Don't trust those Yahoo rankings all the time. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley, 3rd pick. Take it over. But that's, again, the scary thing of, these athletes come back so fast that could they? Yeah. But are they like a professional? People forget how incredibly athletic every single one of these guys are. It really is tremendous. If you get to watch even if you're able to find some practice squad guy, just watch him do stuff. It's unbelievable. The athleticism that those guys have, the real difference isn't really the athleticism in making it an NFL team. It's being able to understand the playbook. Ooh. I've worked with a handful of guys that are, CFL athletes, that are practice squad guys. I worked with a bunch of that's how I know DeAndre from working with him. Worked with a couple Raiders practice squad guys. And the jump from even being like a D1 athlete to those guys is still like, it's big.
That's like in basketball too. Like even if you're like the 12th guy,
the 12th guy on the bench, he will rock every single one of you to sleep twice.
Exactly.
With his hand behind his back, they are unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So just he was just came back way too quick. I didn't trust it. The rest of her team though was pretty good. Other than that, no other injuries on that. I've skipped over a couple of them, but just because we're going to get to them eventually. Butter's team, they led me 3,000. I actually did not have too many marks on that, but he got just shattered with
the second worst.
Just a crappy week. Najee, I'm not super worried about. So the good thing about Najee is I was semi-bullish on him. I'm not like bearish. I'm not running away. I'm not running to trade him. He got stepped on. X-rays were negative. So that's the positive thing. Yeah. All MRIs, the X-rays, everything was negative. To like reheard it again, it's okay. I'm not worried about it. I'm just worried about the Steelers having the worst O-line in the league, arguably. So tough from like a performance standpoint. Yeah, injury standpoint. I mean,
he's still gonna.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna play next week. There's no reason why he should be out with, as long as X-rays are negative. He's a professional athlete. He's a high draft pick. He's a pro bowler.
Are you still picking up his backup?
If I have him, I guarantee I have his. Yeah, I have his backup no matter what. Okay, I have his handcuff immediately.
Got it.
I actually have Najee in the league, and I have his handcuff, and I'm waiting. I'm starting Najee next week. I think he's going to be fine.
Yep.
Not worried about it.
Here first, Dr. T approved.
T. Higgins concussion. Concussion protocol is wrapped up in an enigma as itself to understand NFL concussion protocol. The protocol I have to put people through when they get into concussion is a minimum 10 days, I think. 7 days, 10 days, 7 to 10 days minimum. NFL concussion protocol is different. I don't know how many tests they run. I don't know the symptomatics things that they have to do, that the tests they have to pass, the baselines that they have to read. I've heard some sketchy things here or there about it, but I've also heard that they're going to non-biased, uniform people. So I don't know about him. I would be skeptical until he's back on the field for sure.
James Levine has asked, how many concussions have you treated, if you have?
Treated 1, 2, 3, probably about 6.
Okay.
About 6 concussions I've treated. I've diagnosed more than that.
And how does that work?
Probably at least a couple a year that come up.
Do they come to you to kind of see?
All of my diagnosed concussions have been on a football field.
Oh, got it.
Or when I was at, like, if I'm doing, like, helping volunteer do medical for, like, a soccer tournament or something like that, or gymnastics. But I've definitely had 2 hands worth of concussions, I believe, that I've diagnosed and be like, yeah, you gotta.
What do you recommend?
There was like 4 last year that I remember.
Go to the doctor.
Got to go to the doc. So even if you go to me and I say you have a concussion, it's basically a.
Go get a CAT scan.
Yeah, it's a recommendation to go see a physician so that they can do the tests on you because they have to clear you. So you have to go to like Kaiser or whatever and then go over there. I'm not a huge like fan of their process because it's basically, all right, see us in 2 weeks. Do you have symptoms? Yes. Okay. See us in another week. Do you have symptoms? No. Okay. You're good to go. Which isn't the greatest way, but I mean, they got a million patients to see, so it is what it is. But go to your physician, get it looked at, try to get a baseline, and then it's symptom treatment basically, and then being able to progress. So the steps that we have is like, all right, what are your symptoms? Do you wake up with headaches? Do looking at lights give you headaches? Those types of things. And then from there, it's all right, well, let's do light activity for a day. If you can tolerate light activity, like 30 minutes of walking without getting any symptoms. All right, next day you're going to do moderate activity. You're going to do, 15 minutes of jogging on 3 separate occasions. And then you're going to go into aerobic activity. Then you go into like, all right, you need to jog a mile. Need to make sure that things don't happen, and then you're going to do some sprints. So it's a progression into that to get into the practice. Then even you practice with pads, but no, for at least football, practice with pads, and then no contact, and then you can go to full contact.
Have you had a concussion?
I have had one, I believe.
Do you remember that you had it?
Yeah, I remember it, and then I remember like getting. I remember the like pain in the back of my eyes, like the next day at like school or for like the next couple of days of like looking into light and be like, oh my God, that's not very fun. And just being like irritable. But like, I had one for sure. I don't think I had 2. I might've had 2. It was kind of a shot in the dark, but I guaranteed I've had 1.
I have had 1 severe one and then 2 mild ones.
It's kind of scary. I haven't had I haven't been knocked out.
Yeah, I got knocked out.
I've been around people and like I remember playing and I had a teammate of mine come up and be like, hey, I don't remember like what happened. Can you tell me what happened so I can tell coach so I can go back in? And I was like, hell, that ain't on me, dog. I ain't doing that.
Oh yeah, I was younger and we were kind of by a pool that my uncle had, and I slipped on some like just a little puddle of water. And I slipped back. Bow! I hit it hard. They said, and then I just remember waking up like, why the hell is there like head wrap around me, and like what the hell happened? So I literally don't remember.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it really not remembering things is like terrifying. Like, that goes up there with not being able to walk for the first time in your life. Like, it's terrifying.
Yeah, they said I was like answering questions and everything and all this other stuff.
You're all fluid and stuff.
I was like, nah, I don't remember none of that. So yeah, it's interesting.
There was actually a recent Chad Ochocinco just talked with somebody. Who was he doing an interview with? He was doing an interview with someone and he was talking about how there was a Brown safety, Brian Russell or whatever. Knocked him out, and there's like a video of him in the post game. He was like, yeah, I didn't remember a single thing. I just know that I remember watching the interview, and I watch it, and I asked how Leigh Bodden did against me because I was like the corner, and he was like, did I kill him? So I had to like beat him, and he was like, yeah, you got 7 catches, 80 yards. He was like, perfect. Didn't remember a single thing, and then started yelling for Hugh Jackson mid-interview. And then everyone was like, yeah, you guys can't be here anymore. He's not in the right state of mind.
He's all jacked up.
Yeah, I think it was a TikTok that I saw on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, of it coming in. But yeah, it was like, man, it's terrifying. Just the amount of concussions that people have and what happens with it.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's definitely scary.
He also had T. Higgins head injury. Elijah Mitchell.
Mike Williams lost his drawers out on the field. Didn't know where he was.
Poor guy.
Yeah, and then his bench, Elijah Mitchell. 2 months. That's grade 2 minimum. That's for sure grade 2 MCL. I think he had a little bit of an inversion or an eversion ankle sprain, which is very uncommon. where instead of your like foot going down and in, it goes the other way. I think he had a little bit of ankle sprain too with it, but that's going to be the least of his worries after the grade 2 MCL. I think I sent in the chat. Maybe it's in my brother's chat because they're Niner fans instead of our chat. I might have sent it in our chat, but for sure I don't know about the grade, but it's guaranteed MCL sprain off the bat.
Yeesh. I didn't see it.
Tell.
I didn't see it.
His leg got caught up. It was kind of that's the bad thing about. I don't like saying Elijah Mitchell is injury prone. Except for the soft tissue stuff. But he has he just has like these weird things that happen to him. He has these weird, like, someone tackles him, rolls up on him. But some of that is, like, as a player, you got to sense that coming a little bit more, or you got to be able to get out of it. There is an art to it, but it's he just gets this bad luck on. I feel kind of bad for the guy because he's like a cool runner. I like watching him run. He runs hard. He runs kind of angry.
I had him last year, and he was pretty cool.
Not bad. He runs angry. It's fun. Let's see. Your team.
50 said AP for sure had a concussion when Le'Veon smoked him.
Yeah, he punched him in the face. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was
terrifying.
Crazy too. Yeah, that was crazy.
I can't. What's up with all these people trying to box now? I don't get it. It's weird to me.
Trying to make some money.
I'm not a big boxer guy though, so I don't get it. Other than that, I don't think you had no worries on your team of injuries that I remember.
No, should be good. So yeah, pretty much covers all that.
Yeah, the other one, let me go over. There's one big one I want to cover and give a little bit of insight onto it. Slick Fargo, my man.
What up?
Hey, I want to know who's on your fantasy. I want to know who's on your fantasy team.
Yep. Yeah, it's Slick Fargo back. That's what's up.
And if not, I'm about to retire 2 pits, 1 cup, and name my team Slick Fargo Fan Club. I'd like to officially do that.
Hell yeah.
Gonna make it. Any question in the chat before I start going through the list of injuries that I wanted to? I think we covered everyone else that I wanted to cover. Alvin Kamara had a rib injury. Rib injuries are tough because it's 90% of the time it's just a bruise, but it like hurts so much and that you just have to sit out.
You're still gonna keep on getting hit too.
So I've had broken ribs and bruised ribs before. It's extremely painful. One of the most painful experiences I've had in my life was I had the Jason Witten, Tony Romo too. So I broke ribs and then lacerated my spleen and kidney. So I had cut some like my internal organs and stuff. Don't recommend. It was not a good time. Not fun.
Yeah.
But my body rejected whatever was in my torso at the time, and I was dry heaving in the high school parking lot. Oh, that was the worst. That and hiccups with a broken collarbone, top 2 most painful things that I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh my goodness, I can only imagine.
3 days post,
it comes from up here.
3 days post broken collarbone. No one knew what to do too. I was in the kitchen, hiccuping. I'm in tears at this point. My mom's sitting there staring at me. I'm just like a 13, 14-year-old kid or whatever it is. Shut my mom doesn't know what to do. She's like, what do we do? I was like, I don't know. How does it stop? And I'm just hiccuping. I'm in just the most pain of my life.
Yeah, I bet you too. You're just probably making it worse.
It hurts so bad. I think I eventually just started crying.
And it just kind of went away.
And it just got into smaller ones, and it eventually went away. And then,
oh my god!
I remember I don't know if it was a real trick, but I thought it helped out. Was my mom's thing was if you get the hiccups, you take a teaspoon of sugar, and just try to swallow it as fast as you can. And so it doesn't actually do anything, but it gets your mind focused on something intense that's hard to do because you can't just take sugar and then swallow it because it gets caught and it has to catch your saliva and it has to get emulsified in it. And so it's one of those when you yell watermelon or peanut butter when people are trying to sneeze, it tricks your mind. But anyways, that's the only thing I remember. I was terrified. I was in so much pain it seemed like an hour. I'm sure it was 30 seconds. But it was, oh my God. That was the worst pain of my life.
If anybody has any cool hiccup remedies, let us know in the chat. Because I'm kind of curious.
Damn, Slick Fargo in a league with 3 QBs and 2 QBs are... Oh, he's in a super flex league. All right, man. Slick Fargo, we're rooting for you. You got Painter Gain and BSP all on your side.
Yep, straight up.
We got to get Slick Fargo in the book club.
Yeah, Slick Fargo. If you had any players get injured, let us know which one got injured.
We will give you all the best fantasy advice we possibly can. Hit us with it if you have any questions. Send it in. We'll undivided attention to you, Slick.
Yep, always.
With that said, though, I do want to get into if we can throw up the picture of the hamstrings.
Do you have the picture of the hamstrings ready?
Thank you. I do want to talk. So the Chris Godwin I talked again. He was my like yellow orange flag of like he's coming back too early. I think he should sit till like week 4 or 5, or I wouldn't trust him till then, till he gets kind of things going on. What happened was he got a hamstring strain, which is actually very, very common compensatory injury for ACL repairs. So what happens is, I can kind of draw this out a little bit too. So your ACL, the job of the ACL is to keep your shin from translating forward. So when you step down, if it wasn't intact, your shin would just come forward. Okay? And so as you can see from up here, you have actually 4 different hamstrings. 2 connecting to the inside part of your knee, essentially, or underneath the knee, and then 2 connecting to the outside part of it. Okay? And that's that ischial tuberosity I was telling you about. So that's the part of, it's basically part of your pelvis where they connect to. Okay. And it's just its only job really is to connect to the hamstrings and be like a lever point for it. So it can pull back and pull back. Okay? Because your hamstring is what we call a 2-joint muscle. So it moves your hip into extension, and it also bends your knee. And so, if so facto, that's how you run. So it does both of them. That's why if you straighten or bend your knee, it can stretch the hamstring, but also lifting your hip up into the air also stretches the hamstring. It's a 2-joint mover.
Gotcha. I see.
So what happens is you have your shin. You have your shin bone. Basically, there's your patella. I'm going to draw this. And here's your femur that comes off this way. So I'm going to draw your ACL. So that's ACL. Shin, femur. So,
move the camera, please.
I don't know if this helps out. So your ACL is this black line. It connects the back of your femur to the front of your shin. Okay, that's why if you've heard me talk before, I talk about how you can tell an ACL from a mile away is if that leg hits the ground and that the bottom part of that knee just shifts forward a little bit. That's how you know it's gone. Snapped.
Oof,
done.
Got it.
So there's videos you can watch of it happening. You can visibly see the translation of it come forward. The Jimmy G slide. I remember talking to my brothers about that when it happened. I was like, yeah, guaranteed, no chance of anything else happening except that. The Odell Beckham one in the Super Bowl when I was talking with you guys about it, same thing, automatic. You knew it was an ACL. You saw the shin bone come forward. That's also the famous test that they do. Here, the Lockman's drawer. James has probably had it done to him when you're on the ground. They take it, they bend your knee a little bit, and they kind of put their hand around your shin and they go, and they're trying to move it. So what they do is you grab your shin and they're literally just pulling it forward and trying to see it pop through your skin. Oof. And if they can see it pop through, they know the ACL is 1, loose, or 2, it's gone.
Got it.
So,
shit. Ouch.
If so facto, how this turns out, since that's being repaired, your shin has what's called a shear force where it slides forward a little bit. So what happens is, as you can see from these pictures, your hamstring connects to here. It connects your 2 inside hamstrings, okay, connect onto the bottom of your shin, or onto the back of your shin bone, your tibia. So what happens is that becomes your relying force to pull back. So when you use your hamstrings, when you're stopping and everything, hammy. Foot. Anyways, I'm not an artist. So your hamstring, right here. So what happens with your hamstring is it keeps, when you activate it, it also pulls that shin back. Okay? So it pulls it back towards you. Yeah. So it's also basically like a pseudo hamstring or a pseudo ACL. Because as your ACL gives out, if it stretches or is loose and it pulls forward on it, more strain gets put on your hamstring because your hamstring is going to get stretched even further as well.
Gotcha.
So that's why a lot of times you see the inside hamstring get pulled up, and Godwin's is an inside hamstring injury, and it's from putting too much pressure on the hamstring to help the shin pull back and everything. So that's why it's a very, very common thing for stopping injuries, for ACL reconstruction. They'll actually really, really hammer. One of the okays to go back after ACL surgery is to have 90% strength in that affected hamstring compared to either your original, if they have, original testing, or from your left side. Or from your non-affected side, is you want to have 90%.
Got it. So, I mean, kind of question I thought of. So, when you're rebuilding the strength back into the ACL, what kind of movements are you doing?
So, you're going to want to do movements that you need to be careful of how much you stress it, because you want to put pressure on it. That's how your ligaments get stronger. That's how your muscles get stronger. That's how you get more bone growth, is putting pressure and putting either compression or distraction forces on it, depending on what it is.
Got it.
So for bones, you want to compress them. That's how your bones get strong. If you walk, you do these things. That's why old people get, more brittle bones. They get in and they'll get a little bit, they'll get weak bones because they stop walking, they stop doing whatever. Mm-hmm. The only way to strengthen ligaments is to use them. And the only way to use ligaments is they're non-contractile. So you can't flex a ligament for any reason. Okay. So what happens is you have to put stress on it. So what happens is you need to activate that forward translation of the shin a little bit in order to stop, or in order to make the ACL activate and use it. You just have to be careful of when to do it. The other way is to, again, strengthen everything around it. So your hamstring actually connects all the way down to the bottom of your knee. There's something called the pes anserine, which is called your goose foot. I think we've talked about it on here before, but it is basically your inside hamstring. It's your gracilis semimembranosa, maybe semitendinosus. One of the semi muscles, and then your actually one of your quads that comes around called your sartorius.
Goes all the
and they all connect, and there's these three little things, and they're called pes anserine because that's Latin for goosefoot, and they actually just look like little goosefoot.
Little goosefoot.
So it's connected to the front of your knee, and it connects.
What are they used for?
It helps keep your shin. So that's part of your main hamstring that helps kind of pull. It's also known as what's called your dynamic MCL.
Got it.
Which protects the inside of your knee from what's called valgus forces. So if your knee caves inward, that's what helps stop it from that.
Ooh,
so your hamstring actually helps do that, which is why your hamstring, you can feel the little strings underneath your leg, that they come to both sides of it.
Yeah.
That's basically your hamstring going in.
Oh.
So they actually connect below your knee, kind of onto your shin, onto your fibula on the outside, and the inside ones connect onto your tibia. Sheesh. That's why your inside is usually your bigger ones, your shin bone's bigger and can tolerate more. Your fibula is actually non-weight bearing. That's why you see people play and then you find out, oh, they had a broken leg. Well, they usually had a broken fibula, which technically isn't weight bearing, but it hurts like a son of a bitch if it gets hurt.
But you can still play on it.
Yeah, you can still technically play on it if you're like a tough SOB. But yeah, I really wanted to go over that because that's a big thing of the 90% hamstring strength in comparison to your strong leg is a very, very big determining factor of return to sport. I won't clear someone to return to actual full sport if they don't have that 90%. And we have ways of measuring that. Usually it takes more fancy machinery than you just being like, oh yeah, it's pretty close. I feel okay doing it. Yeah. So you need some way of objective measure for it. And it's not always easy to get, but it's definitely you want 90% strength in it. And that's going to be a big thing in it. And that's why, is so that hamstring isn't too weak, because it takes a while to build it. A lot of the time, because a hamstring is what they take the graft from sometimes to use for your ACL. So 1, they take out a piece of muscle. 2, you can't use it as much. 3, you just had surgery. So it's a big thing of coming around, of not being able to use a hamstring and its importance in keeping it from going in.
We have a question in chat. Is surgery the only way for an ACL to completely heal?
If it's fully torn, yes. Are there instances of people surviving with torn ACLs and not having surgery? Yes. There's a famous in the medical world, maybe not to everyone else, but there was a basketball player named DeJuan Blair, and he went to school at Pitt, and he had 4 knee surgeries, I think, total.
Holy crap.
And 2, I think he tore both his ACLs twice. And so he eventually was just like, F it, I'm done. I don't want to do this. He played I want to say 4 seasons, maybe 3 seasons. He was drafted by the Spurs in the 2nd round, played professional basketball.
Interesting.
So you can survive without an ACL. it's really tough to. You got to have really, really strong hamstrings, and you got to have like a really strong just surrounding knee around it. So is it common for a regular person to be able to do it who's not a professional athlete? No. But yeah,
you got to
surgery
work
is the
harder
only way
just to get to that level, anyways.
Yeah, you could have like a grade 2 tear and like survive without getting surgery. You can like strain your ham. You can sprain your ACL. That's a thing. And like it can heal on its own. I've had quite a few patients that have done that. Actually, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, if you fully tear it, the only way to get it back is to reattach it. If you fully tear anything in your body, the only way outside of like broken bones to heal it is to have it reconnected in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Because your body's smart, but it's not smart enough to reconnect things that are already gone.
Got it. Slick Fargo asked, after tearing MCL, how are your knee extension abilities?
After tearing your what?
MCL.
You should still have knee extension. It's going to be painful though. So your MCL doesn't like to be. It likes to be at what's called 30 degrees. So your 30 degree is like kind of the loose pack position is what it's called when it's kind of loose. So if it's just kind of dangling there a little bit, being fully straight puts it on stretch. So that's actually one of the common things. I have two MCLs right now that are recovering. Both of them are grade 2, and both of them took a while because they were hiking or whatever to get back. So they're actually like almost a chronic, so it's not good. Their toughest thing is just letting their leg sit straight on a table. They're like, it hurts if it's straight for a while, and when I bend it, I have that sharp pain on the inside again.
So it only could be at a certain degree there.
Yeah, being fully straight MCL doesn't like it until it's fully healed.
Got it.
Just because it stretches it. So your MCL, I'll draw that here while I can. So if this is the inside of your leg, is basically from here to here. So there's your kneecap, there's that. So it's the one with the circles around the edge. This is the inside. So if this is the inside part of your foot, so like this is my right knee. This is going to be your MCL is here to here.
And it's on the outside, you said, or inside.
It's on the inside part of your knee. So it's palpable, and it doesn't always feel really good when you push on it. So it's palpable, and you can hit it. But that's what I'm saying. So I'll draw the other one too. So see how the hammy is kind of almost in there?
Yeah.
So your actual pes anserine, so you have your like gracilis, and it comes in right about here. So you have 3 muscles that come all the way down that connect right about here. And so those are 3 hamstrings and then 1 sartorius that comes all the way up. But they're kind of make a cross and they come down, they make another cross and they make another kind of arrows coming down.
Got it.
And that's your dynamic MCL, and that's why your hamstrings can help out a little bit with that kind of valgus, that internal momentum down into it. But yeah, your MCL being straight, it doesn't like it. And then excessive bending, so bending past 90 and then straightening past about 30 degrees. 0 is completely straight, so 30 is a little bit of a bend. It doesn't like being past that because that just puts more strain on it. It likes to be just slightly bent. So Slick Fargo doesn't like your knee extension. It doesn't like it being straight, but you got to work on it. That's kind of when you know that it's okay. And when it's fully healed is when your leg can just kind of sit there a little bit for a while, just straight. And it doesn't get like really bothered from hanging out there.
Another question by Slick.
Hit it.
Going through recovery, how much is it more mental than physical in your experience?
So this is actually a big thing in school that they tell us is one of the questions I always ask a patient is, have you had therapy before? 1, in general. 2, for this specific injury. If you've had it before, I want to know, was it successful? Did you like it? What did they do? Because placebo is a big thing. If you can truly, and what the placebo effect is, essentially is if you believe something hard enough, whether something is genuinely helping you or not, anatomically, scientifically, if you believe it's really helping you, your body will start to help it more. Your body will like be the 12th man in the background. Like your body will assist it in like, you know what, this is going to work. Positivity. And so that's basically like, I don't know if you guys have heard the study of, there's like, they take the plants and they have two different rooms of plants. One walks in and they're speaking like very softly to it. They're encouraging the plant. They're saying, hey man, like you're doing great. Like, way to go. Congratulate, like keep going. Yeah. And then their other room, they're just yelling at the plant, like screaming at it. You suck, this and that, like dissing the plants basically. And it was like a legitimately provable difference of the growth, health and growth. So there's this weird, science can't really explain why, but there's a weird kind of aura of like, as much as I hate to say it, like the crystal chicks and stuff like that, I don't like that. I can't do it. Not my problem. But like there really is something to just like having a better attitude towards something really does help. So having someone mentally checked in, if I tell someone it's going to work and they're like, I don't think it's going to work, I don't want you to do that, it would be really bad for me to sit there and be like, you know what, you're dumb. I know better than you. This is what we're going to do, basically. And they could just not buy into it. Like, I don't want this to work because I don't think it's going to work.
And then it won't work. Yeah.
Technically, should it have worked? Yeah. But this person doesn't want it to work, and it's not going to happen.
So just mentally, it's already, so it's...
So you do have to have some sort of buy-in to therapy. But more mental than physical, I don't know. It might even be 50-50 because you have to convince yourself to do the things that you're being told. So everyone's going to have homework when you go to PT. Say, hey, do this 2 to 3 times a day, whatever it is. You got to be mentally checked in. You got to do it, and you can't be like, oh, my God, I got to do this. It's like, all right, I got to do this. It's going to make me get better. If you don't believe it's going to help you get better, you should talk with your healthcare professional about it. You should talk with your PT. You should talk with your chiropractor. You should talk about your whatever therapist you're going to. If you don't believe what they're doing is going to help you, try to have them at least talk you through it so they can be like, look, this is why. I know you don't believe it because of your experiences or this and that. Let us as the practitioner have to explain ourselves to you. If I can't explain why what I'm doing is going to help you to you in manners that you can understand, I'm not doing my job.
True.
Like, I should be able to explain to a T what's going on, why we're doing this thing. And if I don't know, I should say, I don't know why this works, but it has in the past, and here's the studies that prove it. And, you know, if you want to, we don't have to do that. Here's alternative methods. I don't like these modes as much, but if you want to do them, we'll try it. I do that all the time for patients. I'll go in, I don't like doing a stretch this way. I'm going to tell you off the front hand. This is how we're told to do it. This is how we're supposed to do it. I don't like doing it this way. You can do it this way if you want. I prefer it this way. Try whichever one you want. Do whichever one you want. I don't care. So that's a really big buy-in of like, got to be able to cater to you. You have to want to do it. Sometimes you're just going to hit that wall, though. Sometimes you don't want to do any of it, and it's like you can only do so much. So I would say it's about 50-50 mental, physical of like physically you do have to heal, and sometimes stuff hits the fan. Sometimes it doesn't go your way. It is what it is. But
just try to buy in more.
Yeah, and if you don't buy in, ask why. If you have legitimate reasoning, ask why. And if they can't explain themselves, maybe you have an appropriate cause to not buy in. Like maybe you shouldn't want to do that. That doesn't sound good to me. I shouldn't do that. You can't explain to me why this is helping me. Why am I going to do it?
Listen to you, dude.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not a 9-year-old kid where his mom goes, because I said so. Like, I'm an adult. You need to tell me these things, and I demand some sort of like explanation for it. So 50-50, but you do have to have buy-in. And I've had people who come in that are just like, I think this is going to be great. And I go into it thinking like, you don't have a really good shot for this. Like, I don't know if you can do this. This is not a good thing for you. I don't think your prognosis is not good. Your recovery from your age, your BMI, whatever it is that makes me think that statistically, I don't think it's going to work. Am I going to tell you that? No.
Yeah. But we're gonna
and then you'd surprise me and be like, hey, whatever. Just like Wheels. I had no idea what Wheels was going to do. Yeah. All of a sudden, we're walking. We walked about 50 feet the other day.
Okay.
Every single time, I'm just like, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to let you believe that I think anything we want to do, I think we can do. And so it's
working, progressing.
It's this weird, and I'm not like a happy-go-lucky guy. I'm not the most optimistic guy. I'm pretty pessimistic, to be honest. But that's different. It doesn't matter. I don't want my pessimism to lead off into you guys.
Yeah.
So like
you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to. I flip a switch. I'm much nicer in work than I am in real life, to be honest. Like I'll see people at the store, like either patients, I'll be like, God, don't say hi to me, please. Please leave me alone. But like at work, it's like, hey, how's it going? How's your weekend? I want to know. I want you. You need to be happy here in order for me to be successful as well.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
So 50-50 mental, physical. I don't know if that's exactly what you're trying to get at, Slick. I hope I answered it, but
so you're still right down the middle with it.
Yeah, it's pretty much even. You need to buy in, but you also need to literally have things that are proven to
Actually
work.
fixed it.
Yeah. So there's a big give and take there.
So you know how you're saying there's 4 groups of hamstrings. Me as a personal trainer, I always get questions of, how do I make this bigger? So is there a way to isolate any of the hamstring muscles, or you could only use it as a full compound like muscle group?
You can, but it's tough.
Okay.
So just like you can stretch each one, so if you lift your leg up and you pull it out to the side, you'll stretch the internal hamstrings, external. You can kind of use that as like if you're on like a sliding board shuttle, you can hook your leg up to it and kind of come up and down, inside, outside, and pull in the opposite direction of the stretch. I don't think it's important to try to purposely train internal, external hamstrings unless there's an obvious deficiency. So you can have an obvious deficiency by... You can check if they just do like a single leg hamstring curl while standing. If they really go off to one side, force it the other way. So I would only use it in functional deficiencies. I have specifically trained more internal than external hamstrings, or more medial than lateral hamstrings, specifically because they were just offset, or with the way they walk or the way they do things. They just developed the outside of their leg a little bit more because they...
pulled off a little bit this
walked
way.
like a duck a little bit, so their feet were out more, so you did a little bit more of that pushing off. It's just a weird angle, and they did it for so long that it took a little bit.
So what would be your recommendation for the inside of the hamstring to pull that back? Say if they do have like a...
If it's duck waddle, it would be just like more cross-legged hamstring work.
Opposite way?
Yeah. So like the leg kicks, but instead of just going straight back on like your hip extensions or whatever, go cross, or literally just hamstring curl, but do it with free weights where you can kind of force it to the inside, where I'm trying to get, instead of trying to get my heel to touch the same glute, I'm trying to touch the other glute. And so I'm trying to cross over a little bit. I don't highly recommend that just because I don't like twisting.
I was about to say, I don't think that would be safe necessarily for my profession, because I'm not trained enough to really
recognize
exactly.
You
know what I'm saying.
So for someone like you, I would say just the more the internal of, you can put your leg straight down and then twist it and then push down at an angle, or like twist it and push down at an angle. Those are called hamstring sets. They're a little basic, but I mean, technically, is it doing the right thing?
Doing the right thing, yeah, exactly.
So you can do more specifically internal, external, or medial, lateral hamstring heads. Is it tough though? Yeah, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest muscle imbalances I come across, is that duck type of walk where everything's pulled out from the outside this way.
Yeah.
So,
one of the things I would say for that is, like, if you get them on like their hands or elbows for like a plank, then you can take one leg and like pick it up and cross it over the other. So almost like make an X in the back. That'll kind of turn. But for that one, you got to be careful of them turning their whole body. I don't want their heels turning. I want their heels facing straight up the whole time still.
And still be able to just kind of work.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it's more work than it is like beneficial for you to do that. You know? So you can, but it's again not like
it's just kind of like
desirable.
Tweaking. Yeah,
it's tough to do.
Yeah.
But
I think I've noticed, even though just kind of doing stuff of like just the regular type of workouts, I can see over time and progression that it's slowly, just by building muscle, it's kind of naturally kind of going back to itself. I'm not like really isolating or trying to focus on it too much. I'm just kind of still sticking with like very simple, basic hamstring workouts, or working the muscle. And I've started to notice that it just kind of starts going, maybe not exactly, as fast as I could possibly do it. But over time, in the last 2 months, I've seen that one of my clients had it really bad. But now when we're kind of doing all this like balance stuff and single leg, like stability stuff, like he's much better, much better.
I would definitely focus more on just hips. I would focus on working the hips to get the feet turned back in, and then let the hamstrings fix themselves. It's so hard to do. I don't recommend it against anyone. Very, very rarely. I only remember 2 specific cases where I've ever done that. Maybe I had another one, but there was only 2 specific cases where I was like, all right, I need you to focus on keeping your leg in. Yeah. And it was more keeping it straight. I didn't overcompensate. I just didn't want you to compensate to the side that you wanted to. I didn't want you to deviate to the side. I wanted to be straight ahead. So I didn't overemphasize it and make you go inside, but I just wanted you to get used to having it straight.
Yeah.
And that was...
I think that's definitely helped too. Just always trying to remind them,
this is how it should feel.
Put your toe... Yeah, exactly.
This is how it should feel. If you don't feel like this, you should try to fix it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool too, because like when I'm working out with people, and now that I've had a lot of my clients now, I've over 2 to 3 months, it's just like it's really cool to notice that they actually have that mind to muscle connection, and they fix themselves before I have to remind them to fix themselves, which is really cool. It makes me feel like I'm really doing my job right. I'm actually explaining it to them where they can understand and they can actually do it all on their own, necessarily. So that's actually been pretty cool. Definitely one big part of why I like personal training. Yeah,
seeing the visible like changes. It's always nice to like have the small ones, but to like see someone walk in and be like, damn, I like noticed that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, even my other guy that's dealing with type 2 diabetes, he came to me just really, really skinny and not very strong, and balance wasn't like literally at bottom, like we had to start off with like 2.5 pounds, and now we're up to like 10 to 15 pounds on some things, and it's like, wow, man, and like I can noticeably see muscle mass on you too now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's starting to build that little, the little muscle that he's kind of getting, and it's a little bit harder for him too. But yeah, it's been really cool to see, and seeing all the development, and then I just like that everybody keeps coming back. That's the only way I get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keeping them in, and they want to be there, and it's it's fun for everybody involved.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. Anything else you kind of want to cover?
That was it for the main surgery thing. We could go over that MCO thing. It'd be a little bit easier to talk in here, but I think we kind of covered it last time. Anybody in the chat, hit us with them real quick. We're on probably, I don't know, a 15 second. I don't know what the delay is here, but we'll answer those as quick as we can. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was any other main things I wanted to go over with the injury clause.
Hamstrings was a big one that we wanted to cover.
Yeah, hamstrings. We didn't have any backs or any like broken things.
Just a heads up in the chat as well too. If you feel like you have any demonstrations you would like us to go over, maybe inside the gym or maybe some other things that just kind of cross your mind, me and Dr. T are actually going to be doing a video thing on Saturday. So we're trying to figure out what we want to do and cover, so we could kind of record that, get some demonstrations for you guys as well.
Get some demos in. Try to find some things that are worth it to y'all. Get your home exercise program cooking.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one thing that I'm trying to still kind of figure out is just the home workout, putting together all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
which will be fun. I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, we could break out the sliders and do the slider home program.
Yeah, sliders. I love the sliders.
That's the big deal with people.
Sliders, though. That's the only thing.
Amazon, man, they're cheap.
I know.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
No. Anybody else have any questions to go off? No. I think that's it for a nice episode 11, huh?
Yeah, I'm glad Slick Fargo's coming back.
Yeah, thank you, Slick Fargo, as always.
Slick Fargo Fan Club is going to be the official Dr. T fantasy football name, where we're going to capture the ship just for you.
Yeah.
And then that'll be on the name that everyone has to see for the rest of their lives.
Slick said it was his first time playing fantasy football.
Yeah. Dude, wow. First time playing fantasy football, being in a Superflex league? Oh, my God. It took me like 5 years to get into a Superflex league. What an animal.
Haku says, our athletes with long careers that have avoided catastrophic injury just lucky, or is there something to structure your workouts to extend your career? Is that not James Reed, but the Tom Brady kind of thing?
A little bit of both.
Right.
So you can... Part of it is the way you play. And then part of it is kind of the way you train and like how healthy you are. So again, the Tom Brady thing is how he plays. He doesn't put himself in harm's way. He doesn't take hits. He's good at moving, and you can emphasize that in being a big part of your game. But it's also dumb luck. You get blindsided, some random guy misses a block that you don't get to see. All of a sudden, your knee gets rolled up on, and your ACL's gone. Or one jump in the air from a receiver, and someone trips and falls underneath you. You land on them and like break your ankle. So the catastrophic injuries are wild. The Marshawn Lattimore thing when he tore like 4 ligaments or whatever it was in his knee. That knee injury again, wild. Bo Jackson, wild, just weird turn of events.
How did he get hurt?
He actually. Had a hip dislocation or subluxation. He was so strong. There was a guy that was holding on to his leg, and he was like, F that, I'm done. Pulled his leg and dislocated his own leg from his hip.
Because he pulled out.
Yes, and so...
and it just pulled everything.
There is a... I'll try as best I can to draw this, but there is a specific reason why that's not very good. Oh, that's not a very good. That's a very big hip. So there's a specific artery inside of your on your femur. It's actually very famous for something called leg calf Pers disease. And it's common in, I want to say 12 to 13-year-old, 15-year-olds, where you get what's called avascular necrosis. So what avascular necrosis is, so this is like your hip. And then there's like your tailbone, whatever. So this is your hip. And you have this femoral artery that comes along the neck of the femur. So hip, leg, bone. Good luck, guys. Sorry. Sorry about that. So this is your hip, and this is the bone that kind of sticks out of it. That little squiggly line is you have something across. This is the neck of the femur. Okay? And that's the little shaft. So you have the ball that's in the joint. That would be an articulating surface with the hip. And then it has this little stem, and it goes to the actual like bone out here. And then right here is kind of where how you can feel the outside of your hip. You feel that little bone jutting out called your femoral condyle. Not super important, but that's where that is. You have this little artery that comes down. So what happens is he pulled this out. This bone came out of it, dislocated it. Okay? What happens in that, what occurred was this artery got cut basically. As it got pulled out, it got stretched and it got broken.
Say goodbye to Slick real quick. Thanks,
Slick, take it easy.
Take it easy.
Hit us with the questions. I want to know the fantasy team. I'm still changing to Slick Fargo's fan club fantasy team. But this artery right here gets pulled. Now, that's your very, very important artery to the rest of your lower body. And so what happens with that is the only artery that feeds the neck of the femur. And so what happens, you have what's called avascular necrosis. So avascular means you don't have blood flow to it. Mm-hmm. Necrosis means literally dying stuff.
Oh, shit.
So anything that's necrotic is just dying.
Fuck.
So you've heard of like gangrene?
Yeah.
Where the toes kind of turn a greenish hue and then they just fall off.
Oh, fuck.
So that's like when you get black skin and it just turns off and it is out of there. Like frostbite and stuff, you get necrosis, the skin dies, the cells dies, and your body is literally decaying. So what happens is you get that avascular necrosis in the bone and it'll eventually snap.
Oh, shit.
So that happens with, I have a patient where we have like an issue with this coming in, so we're trying to strengthen her and stuff. It's actually very serious. She's been doing very well, but may have to have a replacement. She has another, like a systemic disease. She has lupus too that goes in. So she got a bunch of reasons for it, but this avascular necrosis is very dangerous. So when you dislocate a hip, that's why it's very, very, very bad to do for hip injuries. Yeah, so you have that's very specific blood flow. So he pulled it and ripped that apart.
Holy fuck.
That's a freak accident. It's a freak injury. You're so strong that you pulled your own hip out of its
Haku
socket.
said pull out game on Hall of Fame.
Hey, man. for good or for worse. Or for better or for worse. But so that's the issue with that. And that's, again, a catastrophic injury. But, the odds of that happening are so low. So low. I don't know any other instance in
sports
history where that's happened.
Yeah.
It probably is. It's probably happened before, but not that I know of in like immediate sports. So it's some of it's dumb luck, but a lot of it is, Steph Curry could have been, the rest of his career could have been injury ridden. What he did, he started training different. He started doing a lot of balance training. He started to eat differently. He started to, incorporate some proprioceptive stuff. He does the whole, like, he has the weird goggles and he uses his hands to catch a bunch of tennis balls.
Yeah.
Like, he has this crazy training regimen. He's standing on one leg while he's doing all of it for balance and reflexive things because he kept having these ankle injuries, and now he doesn't have those anymore. He doesn't have those recurring sprains because he's trained his body to do it. So, but again, he had the freak accident where he broke his hand. He landed on the ground, broke his hand. Like, freak out. There's nothing you can do about those sometimes. So it's a mixture of dumb luck and prepping yourself for prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And that's what you got to kind of do in training is like, I'm going to prep in case something were to happen to me to where maybe I don't get to play again, but I'm going to hope that it doesn't happen because there's some things you can train all your life for. But let me tell you, if you take a sledgehammer straight to the ribs, you can't train for that. You're just going to take a sledgehammer to the ribs and break your ribs. Like, it's going to suck.
That's it.
So It's a little bit of both in those, but it's like, it is what it is for those. I'm one of the ones of like, I've had catastrophic injuries before, and none of them were related. I had a bunch of injuries, and I didn't re-injure any of them. But I just kept getting injury after injury after injury. That was these weird things. Could I have trained better for them? Yeah. Could I have avoided some of them? No. Broken collarbone, shattered. I couldn't have trained for that. I got blindsided. It doesn't matter. Broken ribs, got blindsided. Didn't see it coming. Like, maybe if I was better at football, like, I wouldn't have gotten blindsided. But still, like, there's only so much you can do. Yeah.
Area.
If I was better at this, but like, there's only so much you could do in that instance where you just don't see it coming. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Meant to happen, kind of thing. Yeah.
So
amazing.
It is what it is. Good question, though.
Haku also said, so what you're saying is the NFL Hall of Fame is just Fall Guys.
Yeah, they got the oh damn, I was trying to think of the theme song. I played that a little bit, but yeah, basically, like, you just got to survive, and even some of them like fell halfway through, like
true.
The Junior Seau CTE, like, you still have all these things that are going on in them. They just avoided immediate catastrophic injury.
Yeah.
So you look at the other guys.
Actually, thanks to the NFL, we actually have so much to talk about for the rest of the weeks.
Yeah, forever.
Forever.
That's ACL counts going up. There's a
okay. We should do like an over/under. How many ACLs this year?
Oh, there's like.
What do you think?
Oh, there's
for the whole year.
There's in the hundreds now.
Hundreds?
Yeah, I'm saying
really?
At least. To make it easy, I'll go over 75.
And you're saying it's easy over 75? Easy.
I think one of the years there's an ACL counter, and they're at like 216.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I don't know if it's specifically football, but it's like professional sports ACLs. There was like 200 and whatever at one point. 230 or something like that. So
holy
I think
shit. So at least
50 to 75 is
definitely
like an easy.
NFL.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just sucks. There's only so much you can do. So the problem is everyone's getting bigger and stronger and faster. You're going to overtrain your muscles to where you're just going to blow things out all the time. Like, you're going to that's why we have a lot more cramping now than we didn't used to in the past. How many professional athletes used to cramp? Like, not that much. Now you get people cramping all the time. You have the Duke guy that just got drafted. He was famous for cramping all the time. LeBron James was famous for cramping for a bit. Like, you get so strong and so big in these muscles that you're pushing the human limits. But everyone's gonna get better at it.
So what is the muscle doing when it cramps? Like, why does it necessarily cramp? Like, is it
tiredness, electrolyte imbalances? But there's only so much you could do. So if you just sweat, you can't replace the amount of water that you sweat out quick enough. Like, sometimes it doesn't work, but it's like, you're just getting bigger, faster, stronger. One of my favorite stats, actually, NFL does have lifelong insurance now. James Levine was here. They have it. You got to play 5 years in the NFL, though.
Oh, that's cool.
You got to be 5 years on an active squad to get full health insurance, full coverage.
Cool. Thanks. At least they're trying.
3 years you get partial. 5 years you get full. You were on it forever now. I think that might have been a new NFLPA thing, but
that's cool.
Good for them. 5 years you're in it.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah. No, they got
bad.
sued up the ass for all the concussions and stuff, but now it's 5 years, you hit it, and you're good. It's probably within the last 10 years. But yeah, So stay on that. Stay in it. One of my favorite things is to be the last bit of tidbit nugget that I get for everyone's getting bigger, faster, stronger, no matter what. Before we kind of wrap up, unless we got anything else. But I looked up I don't remember why. I think it was because the end of the game, the Broncos game, the field goal. The field goal percentage in the NFL is like the highest it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And they're taking longer field goals than they ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of goes to prove why it's also like tough to, compare decades. Everyone's bigger, faster, stronger now than there ever were.
Yep.
Basketball players, football players, baseball players.
Never even tried 52s. Now they're trying 63s.
So last year was the highest percentage that we've ever had. Kickers made 85% of their field goal attempts. Prior to that, I think it was 83 or 82% was the highest. If you had to guess what it was in 1996, what the field goal percentage was. So 1996, this is like a Lindo Mare. This is like Matt Bryant, the Morris Anderson. Like there's some solid kickers out there. Ones, yeah. Early David Akers, I guess. Jason Elam. Who's the guy from the Ravens? Was that a Lindo Mare?
Don't remember.
Matt Stover. And so there's these guys who are like, we know the kickers' names enough, from that time. Like, what if you had to guess what would be the percentage, the average field goal percentage in the NFL?
Well, you said we're at 85, right?
We're at 85. That was the highest ever.
I'm gonna say 72.
Oh, okay, not that bad.
Okay, cool.
But it was 76.
Okay.
In 1996, 1996, I believe it was 76.
I was also going to say, is it also because they're firing kickers faster now?
Yeah, but they're better at it. Like, one would think if you like...
I think there's more pressure, so they're kicking more.
But you're just better at it. If there's a way to get better at it, you'll get better
That's
at
true.
it. Humans will find a way to get better, and you'll find a way
training,
to train
definitely
it.
training. Yeah, training is definitely...
But, like, that's wild. I looked up the last 20... I think 19 of the last 20 top field goal percentage years are all in the last 20 years. Are all in the 2000s. Like, you look up in the 80s, it's like low 70%.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that the kickers are 15% better at kicking? Not a single kicker in the NFL and back in the day would be on a roster right now because of the low percentage they would have. Do you imagine that?
It's crazy.
That's crazy. So that tells you just everyone's getting bigger, faster, stronger all the time.
Straight up.
So you're going to have more
Especially when you see more
injuries.
athletes are running the 4.3s now. Maybe you saw one guy run a 4.3.
Yeah.
Now there's
4.3s are wild.
tons of kids running
there was just some other guy I looked up. Chris Chambers ran a 4.3. I didn't know that. That was wild. I looked that up. Don't remember why I looked it up, but it did. But yeah, there's speed records are always getting broken. Everything's going to get broken. So everyone's getting bigger, faster, stronger. And with that, you're going to have these more explosive type injuries of, torn ACL. We didn't see nearly as many. ACLs are growing in the number by the amount of injuries we get every year. Higher percentage of ACLs, like a constant linear graph. Going up. So you're going to keep having those with those big kind of blowouts because everyone's getting bigger, everyone's getting faster, everyone's getting stronger. I remember Javon Curse ran like a 4.6. And that was like the freak athlete, or 4.5, whatever it was. That was the freak athlete that we've ever seen in the decade. Mm-hmm. And now we got like 4 or 5 DNs coming out the draft every year that run a 4.5.
Yeah.
So it's like, anyways, that's like my pedestal of everyone's getting bigger, faster, stronger.
And, it's
even
proven.
kickers are better than they used to be.
Yeah, it's proven.
But yeah, man.
Cool. I think that's it for episode 11 of Pain or Gain. Thank you guys for always being in the chat. Love you guys as well. Yeah, I am Timo.
I'm Dr. T. Catch you next week on Pain or Gain.
Boom.
Book club Thursdays.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Chips is
Wednesday.
Yeah, Chips is Wednesday.
Chips tomorrow. Catch us
Chips
on that.
tomorrow. What? My chips are down.
9 o'clock, 8:30.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock Chips. Catch us tomorrow. Tune in at least for a little bit. Come give us a heads up. Tell us on your fantasy team, and we'll try to roast you for it. Other than that, we'll
see you
catch
next time.
Later. Peace.